represent what I think is the best part of Florida. We are a very, very unique part of Florida, and I'm just thrilled to have been a part of it. And I want to thank you too. I've known some of you long before I got in the Senate. I've got to come to know a lot of you in the last 10 years, and it's really been a pleasure. I really honestly don't think we can look anywhere over this country and find better people than we have right here in North Florida. Those of you who have moved to Apalachicola, well, welcome. Whether you've been here 5 years, 10 years, or whatever, we're glad to have you here. And again, it's been an honor and a privilege to be able to serve in this capacity. I've learned a great deal. When I was a young man, when I took office 10 years ago, but I've learned an awful lot, and it's been a lot of fun to be able to talk to you and work with you about some of the challenges that we face here. But let me take just a moment and let me introduce Melissa. Melissa Durham is one of our Senate aides, and she's responsible for for 6 of our counties, 6 of 11 counties. I serve 11 counties. Melissa has been in the Florida legislative business since she was right out of high school, and she said that's been at least 10 years. She's a wealth of information, and we're just delighted to have her part of our staff. But more importantly, she knows so much about this part of Florida, and you'd be surprised how often she talks about Franklin County, because she was able to work with Senator Lawson, Representative Lawson before that, and she knows this community well. Paul Beshears, you know, has gone on and left us, and he's working with the governor up there, and Paul did a tremendous job representing you in the Florida House. It was a pleasure to work with him. He came to be a good friend, and he's like I say, he's doing a good job now. But we got old Jason Shoaf here. Jason is joining us here. We expect great things out of him. He's going to represent you so very, very well in the Florida House. He'll tell you about himself in a minute, but I want to tell you a little bit about him, what I know. Of course, he's from Fort St. Joe, right down the road. He's a good family man. And when you check people out, and, if there's a possibility you're going to work for somebody, you want to tell me a little bit about him. And everything was good. He's a fine, God-fearing, good man, good family man, and he's honest as day as long as what I've been told, and I believe that. So Jason, welcome aboard, and give us some words of wisdom.
Oh goodness, Senator, thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope that you can say the same thing at the end of my term, but I'm going to give it all I've got, and I feel confident we'll get some things done. I was born and raised in Fort St. Joe. I've never been in politics in my life. I have a deep love for our community. Before I say our, because really it's all of our rural communities here along the coast. We have a very unique way of life and a very unique place in which we live it. And we are constantly balancing between growth and our way of life. And so we have got to strengthen up our schools. We've got to strengthen up our infrastructure. We've got to be prepared for the next storm. These are all things that are near and dear to me, and I really look forward to working with you, your elected officials, and everyone in the community to try and make Franklin County the absolute best it can be. And I know that sounds like what a politician would say, but I absolutely mean it. And hope you'll reach out to me and my office and give me a list of tasks to accomplish, and we'll get after them. Wanted to introduce my team. I've got Preston Wilson is heading up our Tallahassee, the Capitol office. He's my legislative assistant, and Chris Kingry will be helping me out in Gulf, Franklin, Calhoun, Liberty, Wakulla County. So if you have an immediate issue, one of these two gentlemen would be the first line of defense, and then if we have to ratchet it up, I'll jump in and roll up my sleeves and get it done for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Welcome aboard. Let's give Jason a good... Okay, we got a couple of announcements here. The 2020 legislative session will begin Tuesday, January the 14th. Now, you know, usually we'd meet to start in March, but this year we'll move it up to January. And if you go and speak tonight, we ask that you see our band of white here. We've got the cards here to fill these out. And if you did fill out the form, you feel the need to come up and speak, come on. You can fill it out later. If you want to speak, not fill it out, that's okay too. We're here to listen. And with that in mind, let me say that the storm that hit us almost a year ago, especially west of here, it really hit us hard. And so we want to hear from you tonight on any subject, but certainly that one. And so by all means, let us know how you feel, and if you have friends or relatives that have a hard time somewhere else, tell us about that too. I'm going to skip right on the agenda just a little bit. I'm going to ask the mayor to come up first. I understand he's got a couple of special guests and the good comments, and they may want to get home and do some homework or something. So we're going to call on you first, Mayor.
I appreciate it. I certainly want to get out of here.
Well, now you have to stay. That's part of being a mayor. You can't leave early.
All right, first I want to once again congratulate and welcome Representative Shoaf to the process, and to say that it's been great working with you, Senator Montford, and your staff over the years. I'm elated this evening to announce to our legislative delegation, as well as to the general public, that 13 months ago, the foresight of the Apalachicola Board of City Commissioners to hire a professional city manager, specifically Ron Nally, who has a strong financial background with experience in leadership, has paid huge dividends for the people of Apalachicola. And as a direct result, the city now has its financial house in order. We have increased our general fund bank balance from $15,000 to $500,000. And although it was extremely unpopular, we voted to increase our sewer user fees, and as a result, we have raised adequate funds to put into place a solid and doable financial plan approved by DEP to retire the entire state revolving loan, including the default, within 7 years. We also voted to increase our water rate, which was strongly recommended by the Florida Legislative Association, and as well and that resulted in that the city can now pay for ongoing operational and maintenance costs. And to my knowledge, for the first time in the city's history, we have instituted a capital improvement plan. In addition, we now have in place new accounting and accountability measures for better internal control. So you can see we have come an extremely long way in just 13 months. So basically, as I like to say, it's a new day in Apalachicola. We are a community worth investing in and will make prudent use of state dollars. However, even with all these measures in place, I want to emphasize that regardless of fiscal ability, small rural communities like Apalachicola simply cannot raise enough funds at the local level to pay for large-scale and vital infrastructure projects. Because of this, we're once again seeking your support on the Apalachicola Environmental Stewardship Bill. The bill will allow for the annual appropriations of up to $12 million for the next 5 years to help fund critical needs within the Apalachicola area of critical state concern to improve water quality and to ensure the long-term protection of the area's resources. Specifically, the bill will focus on 3 key areas: near-shore water quality protection through improvements to our aging wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, which poses a significant environmental hazard for the Apalachicola River and Bay, municipal water treatment and distribution improvement, and water quality protection through land acquisition and capital improvement to facilitate public access. With that, and once again on behalf of the people of this grateful community, I wholeheartedly thank both of you in advance for your efforts to champion this bill on behalf of the city of Apalachicola. And at this time, I'd like to ask those here that are in support of this measure to stand up and let your presence be known. In addition, as a symbol of appreciation of this measure to protect the Bay through this bill, we have with us this evening students from the Apalachicola Bay Charter School to make a presentation to you of their unique work of art. We are hopeful that these will hang in your offices as an enduring reminder of our community's appreciation. So at this time, I invite you, Senator Montford and Representative Shoaf, to please come forward and join with the students, their parents, and school staff for the presentation to capture the moment with the photo. So we have with us the ABC School Principal, Shameen Johnson, if you come up. Assistant Vice Principal, Elizabeth Curry, would you come up? And 8th grader, the arts teacher, Rhonda Burgess, would you come up? And 8th grader, Isabella Price, and she's going to present to Representative Lorraine Arley, who's the co-sponsor of our bill, and Representative Shoaf is going to accept it on her behalf. 7th grader, Kimberly Anthony, will present to Senator Montford. 3rd grader, Madeline Paul, will present to Representative Shoaf. And 8th grader, Kiana Weeks, will present to me on behalf of the City of Apalachicola, so that this artwork can hang in City Hall as a symbol of the next generation's love for our environment and understanding of the importance and protection of our state.
Great artwork.
Very good.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Come up to the Capitol office and visit, you'll see this hanging. We'll definitely put it there.
Thank you so very much. Those of you who know me for a while know my background in education. It's just always a pleasure to see bright young people and the teachers with them and all. It's just this is a thrill. And as Representative Shoaf says, you come to our offices and you'll see them. Of course, sometimes the Senate President comes by, and probably same thing in the House, and he'll see this and he'll say, "Can I put it in my office for a while?" You know, when you're senior, when you're the Senate President, he controls all the money, so you have a tendency just for a little while to bring you back. You know? But thank you again. That's very kind of you, and that's a very, very fine gesture. We appreciate it. Okay, let me go back just for a moment. Chairman Lockley, where's the chair? We want the chair to give us, he's in the bathroom. That's all right. We're going to let him give a welcome to the courthouse. Well, okay. He's got. Come on in, chair. We're not going to ask where you've been. Come on in. We want you to give a good county commission welcome to your home here. We appreciate your letting us use your facility.
Good evening. Dr. Montford, Representative
Shoaf. Like a loaf of bread.
Yeah, I see that. Get your feet wet for the first time in Franklin County. Well, we want to welcome y'all to being here and take some of our questions on what we need on behalf of the county, the city, and the people. And we had a little rough time, lots of people to the west. Y'all know about that, but we're gonna be asking y'all for a little more this year. And we appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to us on behalf of the county, city, and the people. We got a bunch of them here. They're ready to act, so we need it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are any of your colleagues here that like to, any of your county commission colleagues love to have you come up and say something?
Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Burke.
Y'all come on down.
Well, first and foremost, the board does want to thank you, Senator Montford. Last year you provided Franklin County with $750,000 of funds through the DEO. And them was much needed funds. Representative Shoaf wasn't in office at the time. You went and done this, and we needed them, because we're gonna use that for matching funds for Alligator Drive, we found Alligator Park. We already got a low bid of $471 million, $4,071,000 from Columbia Anderson contract. The county is now waiting for FEMA to approve the scope of the work and the low bid before the contractor can go to work. But without that money from the DEO, we would have been in trouble trying to find it. Also, on the emergency management, now, Franklin County, we need the emergency management director. She just found out that the Florida DEM, Department of Emergency Management, they got $1.8 million, which will be split in 9 counties, and that's to help with new EOC. I mean, help rebuild them. But as you know, Franklin County is the only county on the coast without a new EOC. Right now we're using an old, it used to be a weather service building, and it's with the way the storms are doing now, if you look at like how it hit Bermuda, they stayed over there 185 miles an hour wind for 20 miles. There's no way out there would have hold up. I mean, it's been there doing the job, but we need a new one and bring it up to standard. Right now we got people working and we don't want to put them in no harm's way. We appreciate anything y'all can do to help us get that. But that's one of our opinion. We got some more, but I'm good. I'm not gonna be bearer of all the news, I'm gonna let my other commissioners actually prefer for them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator Montford. Thank you, Representative Jason Shoaf, for the ability to be here today with you. Got a couple of things I want to share with you that are expressions of our board. Ricky Jones, I'm County Commissioner for District 1 here in Franklin County. The board does support state funding for the supervisor elections office cloud protection services. The board believes improvements mandated by the state to any county program should come with necessary state funding to enact those programs. And after Hurricane Michael, the state of Florida stepped in and absorbed the cost of hurricane debris removal in Franklin County and other rural counties here in Florida. The board appreciates this assistance. We want to make sure you're aware of that tonight. Debris management and removal is the single biggest cost associated with hurricane recovery. And if the state had not stepped in, Franklin County would have easily burned through its full $1 million in cash reserves and would have probably had to borrow money at some point during this fiscal year that we're about to reach the end of. The board encourages the state and federal government to come up with a consistent way to assist every county with debris management because it could potentially bankrupt these small rural counties. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Yeah, that you touched on something that I hit on when we finish up here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Bowe.
Hey, good evening and welcome to Franklin County. I am just thrilled that you guys are here. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to develop that strong relationship with both of you. Senator Montford, I'm just so impressed with the treasury of information that you represent over all these years here in our state. And I hope that it will continue to embellish in the future. And I just look forward to supporting you in any of those areas. I want to tell you a little bit about the character of Franklin County Commission and the Board of Commissioners. If I could say one item that would represent what we're going to be talking about this evening, it is that the Franklin County Board of County Commissioners are good stewards of the public money. When I first came on board, it's almost been a year now, one of the first things that we did was to bring in our deputy financial clerk to sit at every one of our meetings. And all of us are looking to the right where she's sitting oftentimes as we continue to spend money to ask, do we have it? Where is it? Why are we spending it? And is this appropriate? It is in that spirit that I am giving this report this evening because of how you can depend upon Franklin County, Florida to really be good stewards of the commission, of the money that's sent here. You heard already about Alligator Drive and the funding we have about that. As you know, that 1,250-foot length of road that we've been managing for well over 30 years to the tune of, I think, near $23 million. That road's on the beach, and it still is. And we are going to be rebuilding that road with FEMA money in the exact position where it is. And I've seen cross sections of the design, and it's excellent. An excellent source of efficient building, and I believe the dollar value of $4.7 million will be well spent with regard to that. We need to protect that road seaward and block the wave action that continues to come in, even though we're going to be driving sheet piling down probably 20 feet below grade seaward and reinforcing everything landward. We still need to be responsible for protection of the road we're going to be rebuilding. So what we're seeking is $200,000 to design the beach renourishment project that will protect the road that you're funding. And so we appreciate your generous consideration in that area. And if we get that for design, then next year we're going to ask for some $5 million of FDEP construction funds to match the $5 million of county restore funds to rebuild that beach area. And then we'll be responsible for several years thereafter in managing and maintaining that area. And the other area that I wanted to talk about was perhaps the newest industry as I know in Florida, and that is this aquaculture industry. It's just absolutely wonderful biology. It's a tremendous way to use one of the wonderful resources we have in Florida, which is our Florida waterways. And right here, nearby, in Alligator Harbor, we have several hundred leases of aquaculture where they're actually raising oysters through the feeding of those oysters in water columns. And what we need is access for our oyster farmers, if you will, to get to their own oyster fields. And so we're looking for good quality, safe boat ramp in a way that they can be properly accessed. And there's an asset called the Florida Marine. It's the old FSU Marine Lab at Alligator Point. Its address, I think, is 1400 Alligator Drive. It's been dormant for over 20 years. Just as you heard earlier about how we've been working with a 50-year-old emergency management facility, you can be guaranteed that Franklin County will be an excellent steward of that particular property if the state will lease it to us and let us begin to utilize it for this particular aquaculture program that the state has encouraged. We just appreciate that very much. I wanted to also just take the opportunity, aside from the formal request we talked about here on the legislation side, to say a couple of things. Representative Shoaf, I believe you and I have a passion for education, particularly relative to vocational training. I know our school board is involved in vocational training, and I think you'll hear from our sheriff tonight about the newest opportunity we have here in Franklin County. We've given the sheriff the use of a old work camp that's been studied. It looks like it's got a potential for drug rehabilitation. You know, I think we have a good opportunity here to begin linking this. The Supervisor of Elections, Heather Riley, told me 2 years ago, one of the first questions I asked her was, what does Franklin County, Florida need? Her students are dropping out of school, doing drugs, having babies, and working in the oyster field. It's just a cycle. And what I see as an opportunity here is something to link what I call success, an opportunity for success. You've got a vocational rehab program that you're considering. We have a drug rehab program we're considering. We've got a school system that we're considering. And think about this a moment. That course, I'll bring it again, how to study, I think is an excellent opportunity to begin considering. And I'd like to work with you in perhaps accessing the Florida Department of Education to help build a curriculum with regard to that course called How to Study. If we can begin that little seed program here and complement some of the work that you're considering doing, I believe if we teach these kids how to study, that technique, I think, will be the foundation that complements the entire Florida curriculum. And we can begin it right here in Franklin County. So I really appreciate that. And I welcome the opportunity to join you in the Florida Capitol on behalf of my colleagues and our folks here in Franklin County to see if we can work that through. And I'd like to do that very much. Also, picture, if you will, when you're heading back home tonight, heading west there, the intersection is Seahawk Lane and US 98. Right there is the exit intersection for our K-12 school. There is, if you arrive at that intersection, southbound, either whether you make a left or right hand turn, there is no reference to the horizon whatsoever at that road. And at the end of that road is riprap and the Gulf of Mexico. And our young kids that are driving every day through there, we need to be protected. And I'd like if you could help get the Department of Transportation to work with us. Please feel free to have them call me so that we can get proper safety signage right there at that intersection. I'd also like to encourage to see more Florida Highway Patrol officers here in Franklin County. I think that they have a tremendous showing when they're appearing, and they have a tremendous ability to help augment what we're already doing, and we can complement them too, so I'd like to invite that to happen as well. So thank you again so much for being here, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bolt. We appreciate it. Great idea there. Okay, let me See, here we got next on the list, we've got Sheriff A.J. Smith. Come on down. Welcome, Sheriff. Glad to have you here.
Good evening, y'all. How's everything?
All right.
Well, I think Commissioner both covered mine, so I'm good.
I think it's bigger than that.
So anyway, now, welcome and thank you for coming, and Representative Shoaf, good to see you here. And I think I've spoken to both of y'all about one of the big issues that I'm concerned with, and a lot of folks in the county have talked to me about, of course, is drug rehabilitation. And we are going to be asking you for some money, and that'll be coming to you. So I'd like to, as we move further in the process, probably meet with you and talk to you. And I've already spoken with you about setting up some meetings. So I don't want to take up a lot of your time tonight. I know a lot of people here are wanting to speak, but that's my main issue right now. So,
Sheriff, what ballpark again? How much?
well, the county did an engineering study, and to rehab the entire facilities, $2.5 million. But kind of what I'm looking at is maybe do it, phase it in, because we certainly don't need to be all the buildings at one time. So we could phase it in. So we got a little bit of money this year, and then just kind of work it along as the project progresses.
This year, you got an idea what the amount would be?
Probably $1 million, $750 to $1 million. I'm just off the cuff there.
And I believe in our further discussion, this will be a rehab facility to be able to, basically when they leave, they got a skill to get a job to keep them out of.
Well, yeah, we'd like to be able to teach them some skills as well. That's correct. Because, right now the folks, we're going to use the same program we're using in the jail. So the folks that finish the program in the jail go to a halfway house in either Panama City or in Charleston. It's called Fresh Start. And they're employed there, they're housed there, they're fed there, they start saving money. So that's how the program is set up now. But, it'd be great to work with maybe community college and look at or some other entities that want to come in and teach some job skills that they could use, and maybe even folks in the public here that need job skills that would be beneficial to the county.
Okay. Anything else got on the list other than that?
No, that's it. Thank you for coming tonight, and look forward to talking to you about this as we move forward.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank y'all.
Okay, Martha Johnson. Martha, as always, good to see you.
It's always nice to see you too, Senator Montford. You have been an advocate for Franklin County in many areas, and you have spoken on behalf of clerks consistently in your years, so I appreciate that. And I welcome Representative Shoaf to your first legislative delegation here, and I look forward to seeing your accomplishments. I've only heard good from people that do know you well, and I look forward to getting to know you. As we head into the 2020 legislative session, I want you to know the clerks are very grateful and encouraged by the passage last year of House Bill 337 relative to the courts. House Bill 337 was a major step forward for clerks in regard to our budget, our adequate budget funding. So thanks to your help for that, Senator Montford, clerks won't be coming to you this year with a large funding bill. We are proposing.
Amen.
Yes. We are proposing 2 bills this year that we would appreciate both of your support on. The first one is just a glitch bill that with the goal of cleaning up a few technical items from House Bill 337. And the second is a bill to streamline our jury management programs. These two are still in draft form, so as we get them finalized, I'll be in touch with your staff about those. I want to be a resource for you in the legislature, so if there's anything I can do, any information I can provide, or anything I can be assistance with for you, please use me as a resource. I want to make sure our constituents continue to receive the best services possible, and I look forward to partnering with you on anything that I can to help that happen.
Thank you, Martha. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll continue to work together.
I appreciate you. And like I say, if anything I can do to help y'all, please let me know this year.
Sure will. Thank you. Okay, Rhonda Skipper. Where's Rhonda? Actually, you were hiding back there. Come on down.
I want to welcome y'all tonight. I'm really glad to have you here with us. Welcome you, Jason. Thank you, Senator Bill, for helping us. You've been a good friend to Franklin County, and we thank you for that. And I know you're going to do a very good job for Franklin County as well. The only concern I have tonight is on the outskirts of Michael. One of the things that you guys provide for us at this time is you do provide our aerial photography for the property appraisers' offices for parcels under 25,000. And in the past few years, you've also included the fiscally constrained counties, which would be up to 50,000. The only thing I'm asking is that in the event of a natural disaster such as Michael, maybe we could include in the suggestions of aerial photography an option of oblique photography in the aftermath of a natural disaster. It would be a very time-saving, cost-saving tool for property appraisers when we can do a lot of our post-damage assessment from our desk. And with oblique photography, we can do that, and not on all parcels, but on a lot of parcels. Jackson County could probably do it on all of theirs right now because the trees are cleared out and you can zero in with oblique photography.
Okay, Rhonda. I'm gonna admit, I don't know what that is.
It's almost like a 3D photography. It's a little bit more expensive than the cost-saving minimum photography that's provided right now, and it is a little bit more of an expense. We wouldn't need it every time our areas are flown, but in the event of an after natural disaster, they would be very beneficial if it could be added into an option in the event of a natural disaster.
Have y'all got a plan for this you can present to us?
Yes, sir.
So don't depend on us, that he's a lot smarter than me.
Yes, sir.
He might be, but.
We can, and Dr. Zingali is working on a little bit of something with this as well, with us as well. And yeah, it would be very beneficial, and it's not something, we would love to have it every time, but it's a little bit more expensive. So it's not something we would need every time our counties are flown. But like I say, when we've just flown again because of Hurricane Michael, it could have been very beneficial to me, but I'm looking around and I'm saying Gulf County, very beneficial. Jackson County, Bay County, some of the counties that were hit even harder than we were. And on the non-property appraisers issue, any help we could get on our road on Highway 98 would be greatly appreciated. Our students are traveling that road every day. There are some very rough areas on that road. So anything you guys can do to help with that, we would appreciate it.
Rhonda, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
Got it. We've had several meetings with DOT and different departments about the road. I drive it nearly every single day, and I've had 2 alignments. I know exactly what you're talking about, and
Yes.
we are pushing that with the state.
Thank you.
Okay, Superintendent, oh, there she is. Come on down. What?
Good afternoon. Thank y'all for being here. The teacher in me has some handouts for our districts. I've prepared some handouts with some requests for us. And Senator Montford, thank you for your partnership and continued advocacy for small rural districts. We appreciate what you do for us in Tallahassee. And Jason, I'm excited to get to work with you finally.
I tried to be the teacher's
Get to work with Jason in a different capacity. We have worked together on the Triumph Board, and we are very appreciative for the support in adding vocational programs in Franklin County. So just a little information on Franklin County. I know you guys hear us say Sparsity Supplement every year, so just a little bit of additional information. Franklin County is 545.1 square miles and has 11,675 residents, which averages about 21 people per square mile. Our median household income is around $41,000, and our persons below the poverty line is at 20.1%. The state rate is 15.5%. So We are a Title I district, which means the majority of our students do qualify for free and reduced lunch. We have about 1,330 students in Franklin County in all of our schools. And the items that I have listed, I've listed them by category as well. That's the teacher and me. We have some operational funding issues and capital outlay funding issues, as well as safety, accountability, and assessment. But one thing that's really going to be near and dear to my heart in Franklin County is the workforce education, and I know the governor's office is supporting that. So since 2016, we have increased our high school graduation rate from 49% to 81%. We have gone from 2 small programs, vocational programs in Franklin County, to we have 5 now in our high school. We have a welding program, a health sciences medical program. Our students are graduating from that program with an EKG and CNA certifications. We had 5 students graduate with welding last year, certifications to go straight to work. We've added post-secondary credits for welding in the health sciences program. We also this year have a drones and unmanned systems program and added a business entrepreneurship program. So we are really excited in providing our students an opportunity to go straight to the workforce. I'm not going to ask for college and career ready anymore, because we want every student that graduates from Franklin County High School to be career ready and go to work. So important things that I'm asking for, potentially a grant program for workforce categorical, maybe like an incubator program. I've given some more information and done some research on that, because I know that, we all ask for money, and if you take money from one area, it has to go to another. So a lot of money emphasis has also been spent on school safety. Proud to say that the district is in compliance with all of the school safety laws. And the only thing that I will ask that you guys think about, there are a lot of mandates every year for school districts, and they're not funded. Like the mental health requirement, those are great things, but there's no curriculum and there's no funding for it. So if the legislature mandates anything this year, please have them, just like we do in our school district budget meetings. If we can't pay for it, we don't add it as a line item. So I appreciate your partnership and want to let you know great things are happening here in Franklin County, and we look forward to working with you this session.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Senator, one thing on Tracy, to tell y'all, in traveling the district with 10 counties, and in the role that I played before this with Triumph, got to deal with 8 different counties. She's one of the most aggressive superintendents for the kids that I've come into contact with. She passionately pushes career readiness, vocational, however you want to call it. She is on top of it, as I always say. So thank you, Tracy, and look forward to helping you with those programs. My office is already put into bill drafting, sparsity bill. We're going to try and help you get some more funding for that. Our small counties are just constricted by the public land that we have around us, and we're just not able to raise the same ad valorem as some of our larger neighbors. So we're definitely helping you with that.
Okay, we have Stacy Kirby, the school board. Kirby, come on down. Chair of the school board. Welcome back.
How you doing, Mr. Montford?
All
Nice
right.
to see you again. Mr. Shoaf, nice to have you here. I would like to just reiterate a few of the things that Ms. Moses spoke about. I've been up here before. I think last year I actually got a hallelujah from you, Mr. Montford. So I'm not going to get on my soapbox this year about education funding, but I would like to speak briefly about the sparsity funding. 37 districts that receive sparsity funding of the 67. There are 14 that have less than 2,000 districts, with 4. The FAU, which is down in Palm Beach, which is a lab school or a lab district, and then Jefferson, Gulf, and Franklin County. Jefferson loses about $94,000 a year with the sparsity with the wealth adjustment. Gulf County loses about $224,000. Franklin County loses about $800,000. And that's in a $13 million budget, which is right around 7%. So, if we could do anything, I realize that sparsity will come from those other 37 districts. If we get more, the other 37 get less. With the wealth adjustment, so additional funding possibly. Also, I know that the legislature is considering possibly the district cost differential, possibly moving from using the price level index to a wage level index for determining the district cost differential, which goes immediately to the base allocation funding. And in rural districts like we have, I'm afraid that that would tend to lower the rates that we would be able to get, and actually lower our district cost differential even more than it already is. With the price level index, it's basically based on what our staff and teachers cost. But if you look at a broad array of what the average wage is in Franklin County, it would probably lower that even more, making it harder for us to compete and recruit teachers to this area. Also, I know that the price level index is basically a component of also looking at what the cost of goods are here. And however that calculation is done, it's costly to live here. So I don't quite understand the way the ratio works. There might need to be another determination of what that actually is. I work for the Florida School Board Association, so I have an opportunity to travel around the state. And one more problem that I'm going to mention that seems to be indigenous to all districts in the state of Florida is transportation funding. Everywhere you go, you can see a bus pulled on the side of the road, and what does it say? Bus drivers needed. Every single district in this state loses money on transportation. I think that it should be more of a priority because we've tried to make rules in our district where offenses that happen on the school bus, actually it's like speeding fines doubled with workers present because it presents a danger to students and to everybody on the road. So any help that you could give and increase transportation funding. A district like we have that's so geographically dispersed, we pick kids up, all the way to Alligator Point. And it costs us a lot of money and we lose a lot of money, but on the transportation of our students. But I would appreciate that. Thank you for your time, and you guys have a nice day. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kerwin. We appreciate it. Let me, statewide, the state pays about 50% of the cost of transportation only. Is that about what you are here?
Probably a little more. We probably pay a little more than that, as far as, because we just have costs associated with high fuel here. We do not have a lot of places to buy fuel. We have, and just the geographic, the diversity of the county. It's a very long, wide county, and we pick students up everywhere. And we have not many students live within the 2-mile radius. I know that we actually have to pay some money back because we were picking students up within that 2-mile radius. And that's another thing that should be lifted because those kids, it doesn't matter if they're 2 miles away, they can't walk to school where our school is located. It would be dangerous. And I know that road has to be deemed a hazardous road to waive that 2-mile radius, but we've been unable to get that accomplished.
I know we're trying to look at the definition of a hazardous route now.
Yes, sir.
I don't mind any of us want our children, grandchildren walking down Highway 98
No.
school. And that is an issue statewide, and you're just confronted with so many different issues other than just safety. But and for example, the cost, fuel goes up a nickel a gallon. That's a lot of money with the number of miles you're running, which you can't anticipate that.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of our DLE is high as opposed to the state, and so that's one reason that we get the wealth adjustment. I know the two is the ratio that coincides. However, some people will say their DLE is below the state average. They get relief on the compression side. And so, that sort of makes it up there, but we don't get that. I was looking at our total funding that we receive from the state is a little over $10 million. And if you look at the total funds levied that our county raises, it's about $8.6 million. I think us and Monroe County are the only two counties that 80% of the money that we pay are raised by these taxpayers. And that's a pretty hard pill to swallow. When you look at some districts, it's 10%, 20%. I know it has to do with our property values, but it's still, it's like getting hit on both ends.
Okay, Sheriff,
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Do you have any other board members here that want to speak?
I don't see any.
Okay. Well, appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. Okay, our tax collector, supervisor election. Heather Wright. Come on down, Ms. Wright. Glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here, and it's glad to have y'all here tonight. And I reiterate what everyone else has said. We're so thankful for all that you have done for Franklin County. And I actually have a best regards to you from Supervisor Alan Hayes. I was talking to him, and he said, "Hey, give him my best regards," and remind him that his granddaughter mistaken him for you by the back of the head.
He's a lucky man. He gets mistaken for me.
Right. Yeah, so we're thankful for him and his seat in our legislative committee. He does a great job. Actually, Commissioner Jones touched on one of the biggest issues that we face in Franklin County, as well as the other small counties, is funding to enact all the cybersecurity guidelines that have been brought down to us. We make use of as many free tools as we can through MSISAC and EISAC, but in small rural counties, I think we all should be called micro counties, because you compare Gulf, Franklin, Liberty, Calhoun to Bay, Leon. There's a huge difference in population and funding that comes down federally through grants in the state when it comes to giving us the capability of enacting what they require for us to do. So any help that y'all can give us in having funds allocated to put into place those cybersecurity guidelines and those cybersecurity issues that are so important to ensuring that our voters have clear, transparent elections that are safe from any type of infiltration that would, whether it be foreign or domestic, that would try to infiltrate our election systems. I actually have a couple of handouts. We have several things in the legislative committee coming down, and I'm not going to touch on all of them because it's quite a few, but we're so thankful for everything that was done last year with House Bill 5 and House Bill 766. It has made our job a lot easier in some areas. There's a few little technical things that we need to address this year, but mainly our main goal is funding for ERIC, was the Electronic Registration Information Center, which we August 21st, Governor DeSantis declared us a part of, and so we will be able to, I think it's 29 other states. We will be able to share voter registration information with them. They'll be able to share with us. That'll be able to help eliminate any voter fraud. It will also help us contact any unregistered voters around the state of Florida that goes 2 years before any federal election. So we can reach out and give them the information they need to get registered in the state of Florida and in our individual counties. And the other big issue is like super voting sites, which became very important during Hurricane Michael. And that gives the ability, and we don't want to have it where it's mandated for every county, but as an option to each county as needs arise, that it almost would work like an early voting center, but you could have super voting sites across your county where everyone in the county could come to that site and vote, and it would operate from the beginning of early voting period through election day. And that would really, because if Michael were to hit anywhere along our rural coastline, it would wipe us out completely. We wouldn't have anywhere, we could find one building for the county to hold voting at all. So that's a real big concern of ours, is making sure that we have the availability to us to have voting for every area of our counties to be able to come in and vote. But I thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you giving me time to speak to you. Thank you.
I was glad to see you, Heather. Thank you. Okay, Mayor Brenda, Carabelle. Come on down. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Pleasure to see you. Senator Montford and Representative Shoaf. I think the last time we saw each other was the Camp Gordon-Johnston parade. So, good evening and welcome. I'm glad you're here. I want to introduce Commissioner Calvin Allen and Anthony Millender, both Carabelle commissioners, and then we have with us Ms. Tamara Allen and my husband, Greg Christopherson from Carabelle. I just want to remind you, I know you know it, but the city of Carabelle is also a small rural community in need of assistance, just like other areas, other communities nearby us. We continue to seek funding for our potable water extension. It's a companion project to a already 100% funded septic to sewer project for 163 residents. We continue to work to bring the Carabel-Thompson Airport up to the standards of similar Florida general aviation airports. And you know I wouldn't let you all come here without reminding you of our airport. We've had some big changes going on there, and we're getting that in line, and our master plan is about to be complete, so we'll be seeking funding from the federal government for also funding there, where they fund $150,000 each year to all general aviation airports, and we would like Carabel to be included in that funding, and we'll be seeking a letter of support for that. With our local option gasoline tax and some FDO funding, we continue to be able to resurface a few roadways in Carabel, but we continue with some roadways that are still in bad need of repair. Our CRA continues to do its redevelopment work, but we are always seeking land and water conservation grants and CDBG grants to use that funding as leverage for major projects that are needed in our CRA district. I brought this up to you all before, you and Representative Beshears, Senator. The numerous and dangerous, unsightly, sunken commercial vessels that are in the Carabel River, and not just in the Carabel River, but they're in all of the state waters of Franklin County and all the state waters of Florida. The major funding for removal of these vessels comes through the FWC, so I would like to remind you of that whenever they're asking for funding for removing of derelict vessels, and also to consider a change in the legislation for these removal of these vessels. At the current time, if they are tethered to any dock, whether it's a public or private dock, FWC funding is not allowed to remove these vessels. Some of them have been tethered to the docks illegally, and dock owners are not able to fund removal of the vessels. Some of them take $30,000, $40,000 for removal. So I just want to continue to let you know that this is a major issue. It's a major issue in a tourist area, all your Florida tourist areas, because they're unsightly. And then, although not as significant as the communities to the west, we continue to pick up the remnants left by Hurricane Michael. One of our pier parks was damaged pretty good, and so I just want to remind you of the FERDAP to fund that. So that will allow us an opportunity to apply for FERDAP grant to repair some of the damage that was done to our parks. And then I want to bring to your attention that all of the Franklin County communities are working together with the Apalachie Regional Planning Council to apply to the FDOT for assistance for easier access to I-10 from State Road 65. We had originally reached out to the FDOT for an intersection there at State Road 65 and I-10, and they say it's too close to another intersection, but possibly they can do an access road off 65 to the nearest intersection. But we need that desperately for emergency evacuation and for economic development down here in Franklin County and tourism development. During Michael evacuation, it was recognized that it was in need, because they were not only evacuating from Franklin County, but all of those counties in that surrounding area, and 20 and 90 were just jam-packed, going east and west, trying to find an interchange to get onto Interstate 10. But that's all I have for you this evening. I thank you all for coming, and I will remind you to be careful on 98 if you're headed back to Tallahassee. It's still a little dangerous out there.
Mayor, you said That's all you've got. I got about 3 pages here.
Okay.
Very, very comprehensive.
Okay.
We appreciate,
All right.
appreciate your time, appreciate your commitment
Thank
to,
you.
to care of it. I believe that's all the constitutional officers. I believe unless I missed somebody. If I missed somebody, it's Jason's fault. Okay, let's get into public comments now. First of all, we got, by the way, if there's anybody that needs to get out of here quickly, if you got somebody, baby at home you need to go take care of, or somebody, come up here and tell Melissa, and we'll put you in front of everybody else. But no cheating. Okay, Brenda Carlin. Carlin, come on down.
Good evening. Thank you very much for being here. Nice to meet you, Senator, today, and Representative Shoaf. Thank you very much for being here and representing us in District 7. My name is Brenda Carlin. My husband and I are residents of St. George Island in House District 7, Frankin County. I'm going to talk about a different type of hurricane, and I'm not going to ask you for any money. Our U.S. debt is $22 trillion. Now, I had plans to show you the clock turning over, but just during this meeting, my phone has ran out of battery when it was 100% just running the debt. I don't know, that's not a very good omen. This $22 trillion is greater than the annual economic output, GDP, of our entire country. And if divided by the number of people in the U.S., represents approximately $67,000 per person. Washington, D.C. is broken. The federal government is spending this country into the ground, seizing power from the states. Let me repeat that. Seizing power from the states. And taking liberty from the people. It's time American citizens took a stand and made a legitimate effort to curb the power and jurisdiction of the federal government. The founders gave us a tool to fix Washington, D.C., if it won't fix itself. We must use it before it is too late. That tool is Article 5 of the Constitution. Washington, D.C. will never voluntarily relinquish power. Article 5 of the Constitution offers the single best remedy for the crisis our nation is facing. Almost everyone knows, we hear about it every day, that our federal government is on a dangerous course. The unsustainable debt, combined with crushing regulations on states and businesses, is a recipe for disaster. I am proud that my state legislature here in Florida has done its part to implement the process the founders gave us, Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution. I support this approach led by the Convention of States project of calling an Article 5 convention to propose only amendments that would impose 1, fiscal restraints on the federal government, 2, limit its power and jurisdiction, and 3, impose term limits on its officials. Florida passed the resolution calling for an Article 5 Convention of States on these 3 proposed amendments on April 21, 2014. Our application in the House was HM 381, and in the Senate was SM 476. SM 476 is what passed in both houses. 105,785 Floridians have signed our petition supporting Convention of States, and Convention of States is nonpartisan. If you were one of the legislators, and Jason, I know you weren't, but you weren't there, so you didn't have an opportunity. If you're one of the legislators who helped to pass this resolution in our state, thank you. If not, please visit conventionofstates.com to learn more about Article 5 and the Convention of States project. Either way, I ask that you continue to study the significant problems we face as a nation. I ask that you begin to consider and explore various amendments in line with our past resolution that our state might propose at the convention and support at the ratification stage of the process. Amendments that will restore meaningful limitations on the federal government. Leading up to the passage of SM 476 here in Florida, legislators established a working group dedicated to Convention of States and Article 5. I ask you to consider reestablishing a similar work group or showing support for a committee. I'm available to answer any questions you may have about Article 5. And once again, I appreciate your being here today. And like I said, I'm available to answer any questions about Article 5 Convention of States project. And thank you for your service to the people of this county.
Thank you, Ms. Carlin, and welcome to St. George Island and Frankin County.
Thank you.
You've been here how many years? 4, 5?
Yes, we've had property for about 10, and we built new on St. George Island about 4 years ago. And we love it here.
We're glad to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Chris Langston.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I want to withdraw my request to speak.
Okay. You could at least say, hey, you're doing a great job.
Well, actually, I will take it up. I do have to say, gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight. Mr. Montford, you've done a great job through your tenure, and Jason, you're getting off to a great start. I do have to say that. I do have some concerns. It's really around the habitat of the Apalachicola Bay, the oyster habitat. I have heard some, people up here talking about employment opportunities here in Franklin County. The Apalachicola Bay historically has been the largest employer in this area. I guess I could ask one question. I do know that the ABOHL, Apalachicola Bay Oyster Harvest License, responsibility has kind of been turned over to the city of Appalachia. And it came up, came to them at a relatively bad time for them. The vast majority of oyster harvest has shifted from Apalachicola Bay into the Cedar Key area, simply because Apalachicola Bay is, for lack of a better term, non-producing. It's fully collapsed. So the revenue generated from that licensing authority has gone down drastically. Now, I know I've read the statute as to what the responsibilities are with that money. And I guess my one question to you would be, hopefully we can see some funding and assistance from the state level to assist the city of Appalachia with their newly found responsibility in restoration and creation. And again, gentlemen, thank you very much for representation you do for this district. Doing a good job.
Thank you, Mr. Langston.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. David Walker. You're here in a different role this time.
Yeah, I'm in a different role this time. I've usually been with the Department of Health and work with your office on a lot of initiatives. Now, I'm working with Wings Memorial Hospital as the interim CEO. Been on the job for a hot month, but it'll be good. First of all, I want to thank you, Senator Montford, over the years. Your support for this area has greatly been beneficial for us. I'm also a local pastor here as well, so we've worked with the office in a whole lot of different initiatives. Thank you for your assistance with Hurricane Michael and all the things that came down. Jason, welcome aboard. We look forward to working with you. One of the things that affect local rural areas, is hospitals. We have a rural hospital here, and I just want to continue to encourage you to support initiatives for rural hospitals. Williams and Moore Hospital is a critical access hospital. We count deeply right now on our low-income food monies as well as our dish monies that come into our hospitals. So I want to continue to thank you for your support. I look forward to working with you. Senator Montford has my card. Jason, you can get my card, one of his numbers there. We also work with the Lower Rural Health Office, Department of Health. We get information from them too. But if anything anything I can do assistance with you, you know, we definitely want to be on the table, at the table here, developing issues and healthcare issues in Franklin County. We'd like to be at the table in Tallahassee as well. So thank you again.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Okay, Georgia Ackerman. Ms. Ackerman, come on down. Apalachicola River Keepers.
Thank you. I have a couple handouts. I'm Georgia Ackerman. I work with Apalachicola River Keeper. Appreciate your public service by representing us at the Florida Legislature. We appreciate Senator Montford's many years of service and congratulate Mr. Shoaf on his recent election. Like others before me who spoke, we look forward to working with you this session. As you know, the Apalachicola River Basin is recognized as one of the most ecologically diverse regions of North America with numerous significant special designations. Likewise, you know the ecology and the economy of our region are inextricably connected. In the upcoming legislative session, I'd urge you to work collaboratively to protect our region's natural resources, as this is an investment in our children's future. Specifically, I'd like to see the Department of Environmental Protection be provided with the tools and resources to ensure water quality protection for our region. This includes conservation, land acquisition as a strategy, as conservation land also as a strategy to clean water. Additionally, I'd ask you to work to protect the region against inshore oil and gas drilling. Currently, there are 6 exploratory oil wells proposed in the Apalachicola River floodplain between Dead Lakes, Chipola River, and the Apalachicola River. The 6 proposed exploratory oil wells, if approved, would drill over 12,000 feet underground in an effort to find commercially viable oil. There's also an exploratory oil well proposed in Gulf County west of the Dead Lakes. An oil field in our floodplain represents significant ecological and economic threat to the region, especially downstream communities such as Port St. Joe and Apalachicola. Please stay informed on the topic. We expect DEP to make a decision on the 6 exploratory permits that are in Calhoun County, by the way. I came and spoke to you a few weeks ago. Apalachicola Riverkeeper and others have submitted comments of opposition to the exploratory oil wells proposed for Calhoun County. Our full comments can be found on our website, and some of those I just provided you in a handout as well. Drilling poses a threat to the health and recovery of the Apalachicola River floodplain and bay. The risk of damage to water quality, biological and geological integrity of the ecosystem from drilling, along with toxic substance using in drilling wells, exceeds any benefit that a small number of property owners and an oil company would gain. These are not in the public interest for those of us that use and care for the Apalachicola River and Bay. Again, I appreciate your public service, and I hope that you'll call on me if there's anything that Riverkeeper can help with.
Ms. Ackerman, bring us up to speed as to where we are, the state is in the process. DEP should make a decision next month, but are there more public hearings between now and the decision being made, or is that behind us? Where are we in the process?
Sure. I can speak to the Calhoun County wells first, the exploratory oil wells, correct? There are 6 proposed by a company called Shoaf Petroleum. The ERP, there's 2 processes in DEP. ERP approves the site. So those are the folks that'll say yes or no, the company has done everything they're supposed to do in consideration for the site preparation. The oil and gas program at DEP are the folks that give the thumbs up or the thumbs down on whether a company is allowed to explore for oil. For the Calhoun County permits, the 6 proposed by Shoaf Petroleum, and expect a decision by the end of October, but probably sooner. So now is really the time for folks to be asking questions and expressing concerns.
There's a little bit of history, I think, to this. Do you know off the top of your head which local governments have come out in opposition, formally come out in opposition to it? And the county commissioners in all these counties, have they taken a position, or some have and some haven't? I mean, where are the local government agencies?
I can't speak to what is currently on record. I would have to go back to the
state has a web portal, Oculus, that all the public records are entered into. I do know that Calhoun County, the chair, has expressed support for the Choya petroleum permits because they see it as a potential for economic opportunity. And I would like to, and we've met with them, we've talked with them, they've had a well that was, exploratory well that was dug, or drilled, excuse me, previously that came up dry. And so we've been involved with this issue for quite some time in Calhoun County. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
I think my recollection is that the Board of County Commissioners in Calhoun County did not come out in opposition. Is that correct?
For the current Spooner, correct. The Spooner, excuse me, Choya Petroleum. Spooner Petroleum is over in Gulf County proposing a well.
Or do you know if that county commission is the only one that has not formally expressed their opposition?
Can you ask me that again? Make sure
Have all the other, I mean, this has an impact on Franklin, could have an impact on Franklin and Gulf.
Correct.
Have those commissioners, those commissions, have they come out in support or in opposition to this drilling?
I can't confirm if they have submitted comments or not. I know there's been questions and some dialogue and conversations that have happened. I'll find out and can certainly follow up.
Has any local elected board in any of the affected, possibly in affected counties, come out for or against it? Has anybody? Either will take a position either way.
Calhoun County is the only one that I'm aware of currently that has publicly commented to the state on the, that doesn't mean, I'm not the end all be all, but that's the one I'm very certain of because I've personally read that. I can tell you I've fielded many questions from various commissioners. We are getting phone calls and have since the proposals went forward, particularly from Fort St. Joe as well recently. 6
wells, how many different property owners?
One property owner for Calhoun. It's 4 pads with 6 wells. There are four drilling pads with 6 wells. So
all in Calhoun County?
Yeah, correct.
All one owner?
They're correct. Gulf County, separate issue that's actually outside of the Apalachicola watershed. Riverkeeper will be commenting on that. That is Spooner Petroleum, that's one exploratory well that's in Gulf County. Those are 2 separate, and it's very well laid out in your handout because there is, you can get easily confused. We're talking 2 different companies in 2 different places. The ones that we have focused on, the Apalachicola Riverkeeper has commented on, are the 6 exploratory oil wells that are proposed between the Dead Lakes, the Apalachicola River, and the Chipotle. They lie within the Apalachicola River floodplain, and those are Choya Petroleum exploratory permits.
Thank you, Ms. Ackerman.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
George Mayor.
Good evening. Thank you, Senator and Representative, for being here tonight. My name is George Marr. I'm a proud resident of Apalachicola. I have a simple request for your support. In 2017, the city of Apalachicola was notified that the city was in default on its wastewater plant loan. In September 2018, under the direction of the City Commission and City Manager, plan was implemented to fully pay the debt by its maturity date of June 2026. Well, I'm not here to ask you to reduce the debt, the principal, extend the maturity date, or reduce the interest. It's very simple. The debt is currently classified as non-performing and in default. We're asking for your assistance in helping us have the state formally re-amortize the debt and reclassify the debt as performing. We have the money, we're paying it. It was very, very difficult for the city to do what they did. They've taken the financial responsibility of the loan, and they're doing a wonderful job now paying it. Our current rate structure is sufficient to pay the debt by June 2026. Why do we want the debt reclassified as performing and re-amortized? Well, first and foremost, the civic pride. We're a proud group of individuals and citizens. We've taken a hard choice to significantly increase the wastewater user rates. None of us want to be known as a city in default. Secondly, and just as, not as importantly, but it's very important, as a result of being classified as a default loan, the city cannot receive certain state grants. The loss of these grants amounts to about $250,000 annually, or $1.5 million of the remaining life of the loan. All we're asking is any assistance you can give us and just re-amortize it. Many businesses, you know, when they're in a default situation, they work out a payment plan. We're not asking to change the terms, being the interest rate, the principal, and maturity date. All we're asking is to be able to re-amortize, formally do it, and we have a contract for our debt right now, and just formally re-amortize our debt, and we will make the payments. We are making the payments on our new payment schedule, but we're still classified by the state as default. So any help you give us, we'd really appreciate it.
Mr. Moore, that makes so much sense.
Thank you.
Must be something wrong with it. Have y'all run this up the flagpole already?
Not all the way. It really needs to go in the end to the Secretary of DEP or one of his direct deputies.
We'll take it from here.
All right, thank you very much.
Now, we got your contact information here. Okay, Sarah Allen.
Good evening. It's so nice to see you again, Senator Montford, and it's certainly my pleasure to meet and welcome Representative Shoaf to Franklin County, and hopefully one day he'll come to Carabel and visit us there. My name is Tamara Allen, and I'm here really tonight wearing 3 different hats, but I think it'll all kind of make sense. I'm the president of the Historical Society of Carabel, and also served as the program manager for the Waterfronts Partnership Program that we've been doing now almost, since 2007, we were designated by the state as a waterfront community. So we continue to be interested in that program, looks at historic preservation, economic development, hazard mitigation, and our environmental programs. So those things are working together, and then we also have a nonprofit that I am the president of, which is dedicated to bringing resources to Carabel, and that's always what we're here to talk to you about, but I also like for you to know what we're doing. We want to thank you very much for your support, Senator Montford, in helping us get the last 5 grants, historic preservation grants, from the state of Florida to renovate the old City Hall in Carabel. It is absolutely beautiful, and I do hope you all will stop by and see us. We've completed all of the plans that we have except for the installation of an elevator, which is essential to being able to use the 2nd floor, which is just beautiful, but we can't use it for the public yet. So we're looking forward to next year. It won't be in this session, but we do in the spring when we can apply again, we'll apply for an elevator grant. We do want to make you aware that the Carabel White House Association has a special category grant that's actually being considered for funding on Thursday. And it's for the renovation and stabilization of the Crooked River Lighthouse during Michael. We had some structural issues that we were attempting to address, and they became worse during Hurricane Michael, so it became critical that we get those things attended to, as well as our plan had been to paint. You have to paint these structures regularly to keep them structurally sound. So we have applied for $114,000 of state money to go with the match that we are providing to repair and restore the Crooked River Lighthouse. And that will be coming up on Thursday for funding. And then just as we go through the year, if you all can find any programs that would identify sources of economic development for a small rural working waterfront community that would help us to re-engage some of our historic seafood industry, or help us to utilize the waterfront qualities of Carabel to help us develop our economy even further, we would certainly be appreciative of that. And thank you very much.
Ms. Allen, thank you.
Congratulations on your retirement. Can't wait to see what you're going to do next.
Thank you. I wish I knew. Okay, Billy, East Point Water and Sewer. Where's Billy? There you are. Come on down.
While he's coming, I will tell you guys, I'm going to stand by him because I'm also a governor appointee to that water and sewer board. So
All right.
I shouldn't think that the county is doing anything crazy by me to be in line.
You got it. You got it.
He's my partner in crime this evening. It's always
You know what?
good to see
You know what this reminds me of? Now, some of y'all, you may not remember this. The honeymoons. Remember Ralph Camden and Frankin. What was his buddy's name?
Norton.
Norton. Yeah. All right, y'all.
It's good to see you two again, as always.
Now that's better than me, the Bowery boys.
That's right.
Or Lou Costello and Bud Abbott. Y'all remember that? All right. How many of you remember Bud Abbott and Lou Costello? I talked to my aide. We have an aide that works with us in the office from Kansas. And when we first hired her, I asked her, so, well, you're Kansas. How about, you ever met Matt Dillon? And she said, I don't know who that is. And I said, you don't know who Gunsmoke Matt Dillon? No. Festus? No. I said, I can't believe somebody doesn't know who Matt Dillon and Festus are. But y'all do know who Bud Abbott and Lou Costello is. Do you remember? You got that look on your face. You're not old enough to know that, right?
Abbott and Costello, the comedians.
Yeah. All right. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Y'all wrong.
I'm here to represent the East Point Water and Sewer District. We've had this conversation a couple of times. I wanted to update you with our situation. In 1989, the legislature passed the Uniform Special Districts Accountability Act, and in there were certain requirements for special district charters. East Point is an independent special district. It was created by an act of the legislature, so therefore its charter has to be amended through a legislative process. We are in the process of working with an attorney lobbyist firm, Lewis, Longman & Walker, along with the Florida Association of Special Districts, to get our charter, which would be a bill, drafted. We're in that process now. And would like to present to you a draft to look over and need assistance in the changes that need to be made to our charter. Primarily, we need to expand the district boundaries. We currently service areas that are outside of our district and have to charge a surcharge to those customers. If we can get them included into the district, they would no longer pay a surcharge. There would be ad valorem tax revenue that comes from there, but the majority of those customers have homestead exemption as their primary area. The biggest issue is that those areas that we service is where the largest concentration of poverty is in East Point. 38% of the population is below the poverty line, and they are the ones that live in those areas. We also have currently no enforcement powers in dealing with unpaid bills, illegal double connections, a lot of powers that are already in the Florida Administrative Code that apply to municipalities are not within our charter, which should have been added back in '89. That process just was never done. So I come to you for asking for support. We have actually worked with the county. We've spoken to the county planner and several members of the board to let them know where our situation is. And we have a good working relationship now, and we have support from them to pursue this change. But that is mainly the reason that we're working towards this, to expand our boundaries and fix our charter to have the things that it needs to have.
That sounds reasonable too. Anybody opposed to it? I tell you, most of the people impacted from below the.
Yes, sir. Most of those customers are either below the poverty line or they are elderly, retired, fixed income. Now, the district rates are probably some of the lowest in the state. But if you're making $18,000 a year, a $50 water bill a month is pretty substantial. And if you add a surcharge to that, it becomes even tougher to do. So, you know, it's both from a financial standpoint and an obligation to the district charter that we look for assistance.
And additionally, every one that was part of the Lime Rock wildfire are those that are outside our current district boundaries and paying the surcharge. So that it would cover that area as well. And they're also some of the most economically challenged part of our.
Okay. All right.
My background is in utilities, so I'd be happy to sit down and help you with that.
That'd be
Work
wonderful.
with you on it.
I believe actually I spoke with someone on the phone a couple weeks ago, so I'd like to definitely set a meeting. That'd be wonderful to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, Michael Creel. Michael, you're with Family POW MIA Research and Recovery Service.
Yes, sir, that is correct. I'm working together with them here from the state of Florida, identifying and attempting to bring back previously unidentified remains from World War II soldiers. The reason I'm here today is to ask for y'all's support in future requests that we'll be doing out of the state of Florida. We have over 1,000 MIA POWs currently from the state of Florida, one of which is Sergeant James McNeil, who is currently involved in a case that I'm working on now, that we are reaching out to some 62 families throughout the country who he was with some 61 other soldiers at the time of his death. So the process is to reach out to all the families, get DNA samples back to the DPAA, so that they can then reach out, exhume remains, identify them, and hopefully bring the remains back for proper burials. So my request to you is support in that task in the future, going to the DPAA. Which is the Defense POW MIA accounting agency.
So you're looking for funding?
No, sir, no funding at all. Strictly support in the efforts that we put forward with y'all's signatures on letters and what have you moving forward.
Okay, if you'll get that request and information to us, we'll make sure Representative Shoaf office gets it, and we'll go from there.
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right. Okay, all right, we've got, Ms. Creel, thank you for your testimony. And let's see, that's the last blue card I have, but we want to give one more chance for anybody that wants to say something or here before this illustrious group here. Okay, well, let me start the summation here. Again, it's been an absolutely wonderful opportunity for me, my career to serve as your state senator. It's been a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed coming to Franklin County. Now, if you look back over the last 10 years, we've had a couple of meetings here quite interesting. You know, it was sort of like a family reunion, you know, when you get sometimes there's disagreements, but it's always been interesting. It's always been informative. But let me just summarize just a little bit what I've said for a number of years now, and that is rural Florida is facing a crisis, whether it's in infrastructure or health care or education, whatever it is, and a lot of that has to do, and it's been touched on here a couple of times, is with the tax structure, because if you look at some of our rural communities, there's so much property off the tax roll, and you can only tax the remaining of those people so much. But it still costs to run government. It still costs to run those and pay for those very basic services that not only do you expect to have, but you deserve. So we've got a challenge on our hands. The Florida Chamber of Commerce a year ago did a study, and it showed that in 30-something of our rural counties, there are fewer jobs today than there were 5 years ago. Some of us have been, saying that for quite some time to former Senator Scott now, that, you're bringing a lot of jobs in, but they're not coming to rural Florida. In fact, so many of our counties are losing population. And when you lose population, quite frankly, you lose a lot of opportunities for jobs for our young people. Jason, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But we as a state have an obligation to look at this in a serious way about how do we help rural counties. I believe that in my experience with our local governments in these rural counties, they're some of the best governments I've seen. I'd stack my local governments up with any of these large urban governments anywhere in this state. Fact is, you're almost like fighting with one hand tied behind you. You're so restricted. But we're going to address that in the next few years. I'm depending on Jason to pick that ball up and run with it. And I know he will. But there's just so many challenges that you have. But I truly believe we've got some really good people. I do believe that we've got the best. We live in the best part of this state, and I believe this state is the best state in the country. I'm fifth generation right here in North Florida. I wouldn't live anywhere else. But we still have some challenges we've got to face. Hurricane Michael threw us for a loop. Y'all know that. And all of you, I know you've been over there west of here and you've seen the damage that's been done. It's going to take years to come back. And so Jason is committed that we're going to make sure we do everything we can that the people of Florida don't forget that we're hurting and still hurting in North Florida. So we're going to work real hard on it. I feel very confident in Jason. He's a quick learner, and he doesn't mind getting in and getting his feet wet real quick. So Jason?
Thank you, Senator. I sure appreciate your kind words, but even more, I appreciate the years of service you've given to this district. I've watched you, I've learned from you, and I'm going to lean on you a lot this last year in the Senate. Personally, I've got a passion for vocational training. It is what, as a business owner, I do the hiring. I see I see the troubles that we face in our communities. Our kids go off to school, oftentimes don't come back. We have got to find a way to give them the tools, the resources they need to find really the careers of the future. Jobs are changing. Our communities seem to be either staying the same or shrinking. And so you'll see me, as long as you'll have me in Tallahassee, passionately working with your superintendents and with in the House of Representatives to change the way that we look at education in our state. Let kids know that college isn't for everybody. It's not necessarily the best route. So those are my passions. That's what I'm going to work on. We're going to work as hard as we can on bringing the oyster industry back. I'm going to be here to listen to any issues that are important to you. I'm going to work as hard as humanly possible to bring them about. Beyond that, Senator, I've never been one for a whole lot of words, so that's all I've got.
You've talked about twice as much as Halsey. You talked about somebody that didn't talk much. That was Halsey. Got a lot of work though. He can call it, I think, fire and ice or something. But, and I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people thought Halsey and I were close to being twins.
I did. I used to say that.
And, well, you and I favored a little bit too. All right. In closing, don't let me, just because I'm going to be out of office in a little over a year, I still like to go to festivals and things, you're drinking oysters or eating shrimp, whatever. You can find me very easily. I love invitations. I have more time to come eat. Thank y'all. God bless you. Travel home safe.